class watching this video clip of the prominent Colombian writer Gabrielle Garcia Marquez. Hi friends, once again I welcome you to my class. We are about to begin the second unit. Going to start the lesson, A Shipwrecked Sailor, written by one of the renowned writers in literature, Gabrielle Garcia Marquez, the Colombian novelist, a short story writer, and journalist. He was a screenwriter and he was affectionately called Gabber. We are familiar with that name, I think so. Again, he was awarded Neustadt International Prize for Literature in 1972 and Nobel Prize for Literature in 1982. The Story of a Shipwrecked Sailor was Marquez's first major work, and his best novels, his famous novels include 100 Years of Solitude, The Autumn of a Patriarch, and Love in the Time of Cholera. So that's all about Gabrielle Garcia Marquez. So this lesson, Shipwrecked Sailor, tells us about the story of an young sailor, 20-year-old sailor, who was caught in a storm, and he had to spend about 10 days on the open sea. And what happened to him during his life in the sea, how he survived, that's all that we are going to study in this story. We are going to learn in this story. Before we go to the story, there are certain interesting names. The name of the hero, name of the main character in the story is Luis Alejandro Velasco, and there are so many other names here that seems really interesting. See, shall display some of the names here, some of the names, the names of those characters in the story, those important persons in the story, important figures in the story. Luis Alejandro Velasco, again Julio Amado Carabello, again Castillo, Luis Renchifo, Ramon Herrera, again name of certain places, Cartagena, again Arjona, see the difference between the pronunciation and the spelling. Again, Kaman, Virgin of Kaman, patron saint of sea, mariners. Once again, go through the names of these characters here. Luis Alejandro Velasco, Julia Amado Carbello, Castillo, Luis Ranchifo, Ramon Herrera. Again, name of certain places like Cartagena, Arjona. Again, there is a patron saint here. Name of that patron saint is Virgin of Kaman. So these are the main interesting characters here in the story. And now the difficult words. Plunk, to feel, to fall suddenly into something. താഴത്തേക്ക് വീഴുക, കൂപ്പുകുത്തുക. Abyss, a deep hole which is now bottom, ഗർത്തം. Impression, an idea or opinion about something, തോന്നൽ. Boat, to move up and down gently in the water, വെള്ളത്തിൽ കൊണ്ടിട്ടിരിക്കുക. Crates, a wooden box used for storing and packing things, തടിപ്പെട്ടി. Contemplate, to think deeply. ആഴമായി ചിന്തിക്കുക. അഗെയിൻ അട്ടർലി, കംപ്ലീറ്റ്ലി, പൂർണ്ണമായും. ചോപ്പി, കട്ട് അറ്റ് ഡിഫറെൻറ്റ് ലെങ്ത്, മുറിഞ്ഞുള്ള. കാഗോ, ഗുഡ്സ് ക്യാരിഡ് ബൈ ഷിപ്സ്, എയർക്രാഫ്റ്റ് ഓർ വർക്കേഴ്സ്. സ്കാറ്റർ, ടു ത്രോ സംതിങ് ഇൻ ഡിഫറെൻറ്റ് ഡയറക്ഷൻ. എവിഡൻസ്, പ്രൂഫ്, തെളിവ്. മേറ്റ്, ഫെല്ലോ കമ്പാനിയൻസ്, കൂട്ടാളികൾ. അഗെയിൻ ഫാറ്റ്സോ, a fat person, തടിയൻ. It's not a formal language, it's not a formal word, it's an informal one, sometimes offensive. Again, instant, an extremely short period of time, പെട്ടെന്നുള്ള. Vacant, to stop sleeping, ഉണരുക. Dawn, to become known, identify, തിരിച്ചറിയുക. Stay floating on water, വെള്ളത്തിൽ ഇങ്ങനെ ഒഴുകി നടക്കുക. Crate, box made of plastic, wood, etc. to hold bottles, തടിപ്പെട്ടി. Indefinitely, for a long period of time, അനന്തമായ. Reassuring, make one less feel worried, ആത്മവിശ്വാസം നൽകുന്ന. Making one less feel worried, something which gives us confidence. Predicament, fate, വിധി. Raft, ചങ്ങാടം. ക്രസ്റ്റ്, ടോപ്പ് ഓർ ഹൈസ്റ്റ് പാർട്ട് ഓഫ് എ വേവ്, ഹിൽ, എക്സെട്ര, തിരമാലയുടെ മുകൾ ഭാഗം. കോളിംഗ് ഔട്ട്, ടു കോൾ സമ്മൺ ടു കം ഇൻ അസ് ഇൻ ആൻ എമർജൻസി, അടിയന്തര സഹായം ചോദിക്കുക. ഫാദർ, ഫാർ വേ, അകലെ. മൊമെൻ്റർലി, ഫോർ എ വെരി ഷോർട്ട് ടൈം, കുറച്ച് സമയത്തേക്ക്. ബെയറിംഗ്, an understanding of the direction of position, ദിശാബോധം. Alongside, together, കൂടെ. Grab hold tight, മുറുകെ പിടിക്കുക. Rigging, ropes that control and support a ship's sail. The picture of these riggings, again, Raft, everything I shall display in course of time. Whipped, to take something quickly, പെട്ടെന്നെടുക്കുക. Panting, breathe heavily, അണയ്ക്കുക. Immobilized, to stop someone from moving, നിശ്ചലമാക്കുക. Aloft, in the air, വായുവിൽ. Paddle, to swim by moving your hands and feet up and down, വെള്ളത്തിൽ കൈയും കാലും ഇട്ടടിക്കുക. Desolate, with no one, ആരുമില്ലാതെ. Furiously, with much strength and effort, ശക്തിയായി. Lurching, not moving in a normal or regular manner, അസാധാരണമായി. Desperate, needing or wanting something very much, അതിയായി ആഗ്രഹിക്കുക. Snoring, breathe noisy while sleeping, കൂർക്കം വലിക്കുക. Bunk, one or two beds attached together, ചേർത്ത് വെച്ച് കിടക്കുക. Convince, to make someone believe something, വിശ്വസിപ്പിക്കുക. Serenity, calm and peaceful, ശാന്തത. Gigantic, extremely large, വളരെ വലിയ. Mass, a large pole on the ship or boat which helps it to sail. പായ്മരം. Vanished, disappear, അപ്രത്യക്ഷമാകുക. Absurd, stupid and unreasonable, അസംബന്ധം. Exhausted, tired, ക്ഷീണിച്ച. Row, to cause a boat to move through water, തുഴയുക. Yell, cried, നിലവിളിക്കുക. Battered, hurt by being repeatedly hit, അടിച്ചു മുറിവേൽപ്പിക്കുക. Panic, fear, ഭയം. Ducking, act of going below the surface of water, മുങ്ങാങ്കുഴിയിടുക. Swim, to move something quickly and powerfully, ശക്തിയായി നീക്കുക. Or, പങ്കായം, തുഴ. A long pole to row a boat. Tiring, make one feel tired, മുഷിപ്പിക്കുന്ന. Surface, outer or top layer of something, പ്രതലം. Howl, make a long sad cry, കൂവുക. Distinct, വ്യക്തമായ. Provision, something that is needed or wanted, ക്രമീകരിക്കപ്പെടുക. Whalers, boat designed for hunting whales, തിമിംഗല വേട്ടയ്ക്കുള്ള ബോട്ട്. Outfitter, to provide with equipments, ക്രമീകരിക്കുക. Rowboat, a small boat that moves by pulling oar. വഞ്ചി. Stupefied, unable to think clearly, ബുദ്ധി മന്ദിക്കുക. Disaster, great damage, വലിയ അപകടം. Searing, extreme, വല്ലാത്ത. Drill fabric, clothes used during training. Splash, to scatter some water. വെള്ളം ചിതറി ഒഴിക്കുക. Startled, surprised, അത്ഭുതപ്പെടുക. Gash, to make a long deep cut, ആഴത്തിലുള്ള മുറിവ്. Solitude, situation of being alone, ഏകാന്തത. Peso, standard unit of money used in Argentina, Mexico and some other countries. Distract, divert one's attention, ശ്രദ്ധ മാറ്റുക. Rescue, to help someone out of a dangerous situation, അപകടത്തിൽ നിന്ന് രക്ഷപ്പെടുത്തുക. These are the difficult words, hard words. So go through take down these words one by one in your notebook, and we shall go to the text. A Shipwrecked Sailor. Story of Luis Alejandro Velasco. So he was thrown into the sea. He is telling us about his experience there while in the sea, trying to survive. He was telling us his thoughts. So my first impression was that I was utterly alone in the middle of the ocean. The ship plunged into an abyss and disappeared. I had no idea what was happening. It took hold of one of the bobbing crates. I took hold of one of the bobbing crates and stupidly began to contemplate the sea. It was a perfectly clear day, except for the choppy waves produced by the wind and the cargo scattered across the surface. There was no evidence of a shipwreck. There are certain words here. What are those words? Look at the words here, important words here. My first impression was that I was utterly alone. Utterly. Look here. Utterly. Again, there is another word, plunged. Again, another word, abyss. Bobbing, bob. Again, crates. Contemplate. Choppy. Cargo. Evidence means proof. Shipwreck. Shipwreck. നമ്മൾ കപ്പൽ അപകടമെന്ന് പറയും, കപ്പൽ ഛേദമെന്ന് പറയും. So that's all. So again, my first impression was that I was utterly alone in the middle of the sea. The ship plunged into an abyss and disappeared. I had no idea what was happening. I took hold of one of the bobbing crates and stupidly began to contemplate the sea. It was perfectly clear day, except for the choppy waves produced by the wind and the cargo scattered across the surface. There was no evidence of a shipwreck. So everything was clear. Nobody will say there was a shipwreck occurred there if they had not seen those cargoes scattered all over the sea. If there was no cargo, if there was no presence of cargo there in the sea, nobody will say that a shipwreck occurred there. So my first impression was that I was utterly alone in the middle of the ocean. What was my first impression? My impression was that I was completely alone and I was in the middle of the ocean. Ship, what happened to the ship? Ship plunged into an abyss and disappeared. Ship fell straight into an abyss. See, the meaning is here, to fall suddenly into something. താഴത്തേക്ക് വീഴുക അല്ലെങ്കിൽ കൂപ്പുകുത്തുക. Abyss, a deep hole which has no bottom, a bottomless hole in the sea. So the ship fell deep into a hole in the sea and it disappeared. That's the condition of the ship. I had no idea what was happening. I took hold of one of the bobbing crates and stupidly began to contemplate the sea. So what did I do? I had nothing to do but to hold on the bobbing crates. What do you mean by crate? A box made of wooden box used to carry bottles or something that we usually see around us. I shall show you a picture. Crates. See? Crate. A wooden box used to carry bottles or something like that. So, that's it. I took hold of the bobbing crates that was dancing above the water. One of the crate I took, I snatched the crate, I hold tight the crate which was dancing on the surface of the water, bobbing, see, to move up and down gently in the water. വെള്ളത്തിനിങ്ങനെ പൊന്തിക്കിടക്കുക. And again, and I stupidly began to contemplate the sea. What do you mean by contemplate? Contemplate. See? Contemplate. So think deeply. What is the next action that I have to take in order to escape from here? Think about the next action, the future action that I have to take. To think deeply about the future action that I have to take to escape from the sea. I was stupidly, see, I'm in a helpless situation, so I don't know what to do, but think about the next thing that I have to do to escape from here. So again, what about the day? What about the day? It was a perfectly clear day. And what about the sea? The wind produced certain choppy waves, certain waves are produced by because of the wind. There was waves in the sea, and it was not a huge wave. It was a small wave. It was coming one after the other, and the cargo in the ship was scattered all over the sea. And the writer, Luis Alejandro Velasco says that if there was no such cargo around him, nobody will say there occurred a shipwreck. അപ്പോൾ എൻ്റെ ആദ്യത്തെ ചിന്ത എന്തായിരുന്നു? ഞാൻ കടലിൻ്റെ മധ്യത്തിൽ ആണ് എന്നുള്ളതാണ് എൻ്റെ പെട്ടെന്ന് എനിക്ക് തോന്നിയൊരു ചിന്ത. അപ്പോൾ കപ്പലെന്ത് ചെയ്ത്, കപ്പലൊരു ഭയങ്കര ഗർത്തത്തിലേക്ക് പോയി. കപ്പലിപ്പോൾ കാണാനില്ല. എനിക്ക് എന്താ സംഭവിച്ചതെന്നൊന്നും അറിയത്തില്ല. ഞാനെന്ത് ചെയ്ത് പൊന്തിക്കിടന്ന ഒരു തടിപ്പെട്ടിയിൽ കയറി അങ്ങ് പിടിച്ചു. എന്നിട്ട് ഞാൻ ഇനി എന്താ ചെയ്യേണ്ടതെന്ന് ഇങ്ങനെ ആലോചിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരുന്നു. നല്ല തെളിഞ്ഞ ദിവസം, തിരമാലകൾ ഇങ്ങനെ ചെറുതായിട്ട് ഇങ്ങനെ ഓളമടിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്, കാറ്റുകൊണ്ട്. അതേപോലെ തന്നെ ഈ കപ്പലിലെ ചരക്കുകൾ ഇങ്ങനെ അവിടെ ഇവിടെ സ്കാറ്റർ ചെയ്ത് കിടന്നില്ലായിരുന്നെങ്കിൽ, ചിതറി ഇങ്ങനെ കിടന്നില്ലായിരുന്നെങ്കിൽ ഒരു കപ്പലപകടം അവിടെ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്ന ഒരു മനുഷ്യർ പോലും അറിയില്ലായിരുന്നു. സോ that is the idea of the first paragraph. So what about that next one? What about the next one? Soon I began to hear shouts nearby. Through the sharp whistling of the wind, I recognized the voice of Giulio Amado Carabello, the tall, well-built officer who was selling at someone who had a hold there. He was asking someone, he was shouting aloud, he was shouting loudly to someone, calling him a fat man, fatso. Hold there, don't be afraid. Hold there tight. Hold wherever, stay wherever you are. Hold whatever you have cats, you have caught. Hold it tight. So don't be afraid. He was yelling, he was asking somebody. And what about his physical feature? He was a tall, well-built officer. നല്ല ആരോഗ്യമുള്ള ഒരു ഓഫീസർ. And what was his name? As I told you earlier, what was his name? Giulio Amado Carabello. Giulio Amado Carabello. He was asking, see, Giulio Amado Carabello. Giulio Amado Carabello. He was asking, hold whatever, hold whatever you are, stay wherever you are, hold the object, whatever it is, hold it tight. So he was asking like that again. Now let's come to the next. So in the first paragraph, Velasco tells us that he felt he was alone, and in the next paragraph he says that not in the next paragraph, in the next portion he says that he felt that somebody was there because he had a sound. അപ്പോൾ ആദ്യം അവന് തോന്നി അവനെ തനിച്ചാണെന്ന്. പിന്നെയാണ് എന്ത് കേട്ടത്? ഒരു സൗണ്ട് കേട്ടത്. ആരുടെ സൗണ്ടാണ്? ജൂലിയോ അമാദോ കാരബെല്ലോ, a tall, well-built officer. He was asking somebody, calling him a fat man. Hold there, stay wherever you are, don't be afraid. Fat means a fat man. Yelling means cry loudly, നിലവിളിക്കുക. Okay. So now in the next paragraph, it was as if in that instant I had awakened from a moment's deep sleep. It dawned on me that I wasn't alone in the sea. There, only a few meters away, my mates were shouting to one another and trying to stay afloat. Quickly I began to think I couldn't swim in just any direction. I knew we were about 50 miles from Cartagena, but I was not yet frightened. For a moment I thought I could hold on to the crate indefinitely. See the picture? A sinking ship. Until help arrived. It was reassuring to know that all around me other sailors were in the same predicament. That was when I saw the raft. So, coming to the next paragraph, it was as if in that instant I had awakened from a moment's deep sleep. I was awakened. It looks like that. It looked like that. I was awakened. I was about to go into a deep sleep. ഞാനിങ്ങനെ ഒരു ആഴത്തിലുള്ള ഒരു ഉറക്കത്തിലേക്ക് പോകാൻ തുടങ്ങുമായിരുന്നു. Within a moment, I came back to my real life. I got up. I was arose. I was awakened. And it occurred to me that I wasn't alone. I felt that I was not alone. It dawned on me. It came to my mind. It dawned on me. I realized that I wasn't alone in the sea. ഞാൻ ഒറ്റയ്ക്കല്ലെന്ന് എനിക്ക് മനസ്സിലായി. When I heard Gabrielle asking somebody to hold there, I realized that I wasn't alone. There were so many people around me. There was somebody around me, somebody near me. There was only a few meters away. My mates were shouting to one another and trying to stay afloat. I heard my mates, my companions, they were shouting to each other and trying to stay afloat. See, the meaning is there. I have shown you the meaning. Stay afloat, stay floating on the water. So everybody was trying to stay there on the surface of the water, not get drowned. അപ്പോൾ എല്ലാവരും എന്തിനാണ് ശ്രമിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്? ഡ്രൗൺ ചെയ്യാതെ ഇങ്ങനെ പൊന്തിക്കിടക്കാനാണ് ശ്രമിക്കുന്നത്. Quickly I began to think. Suddenly I started thinking. I couldn't swim in just any direction. Why? It was not possible for me to swim in any direction. Why? We were about 50 miles from Cartagena. So, we were 50 miles away from Cartagena. About 70 kilometers, nearly 70 kilometers away from Cartagena. So, it was not possible to swim. But I was not frightened. Why wasn't I frightened? Because I realized that so many my companions were around me, scattered around me, and they were trying to stay afloat. They were trying not to get drowned. So they were all around me. So I was not frightened. For a moment I thought I could hold on to the crate indefinitely. So for a moment I thought I could hold on to the crate indefinitely. So I thought that I had to stay. I had to remain there holding the crate indefinitely without any time limit. I had to remain there holding the crate. So ആ ഒരു തടിപ്പെട്ടിയിൽ പിടിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് ഞാൻ ഇങ്ങനെ indefinitely with no time limit. So കുറേ നേരം ടൈം ലിമിറ്റ് ഒന്നുമില്ലാതെ ഞാനിങ്ങനെ തടിപ്പെട്ടിയിൽ പിടിച്ച് കിടക്കണമെന്ന് എനിക്ക് തോന്നി. ആൻഡ് ദെൻ what is there? Until help arrived. So I felt that I had to remain there holding the crate for a long time, and I can only survive when help arrives. I have to remain there until help, until somebody come to help me. So it is reassuring to know that all around me, other sailors were in the same predicament. So they were in the same situation, and it is reassuring. It gave me confidence when I came to know that other sailors are also in the same condition, same fate. Their fate is also the same, and that gave me confidence. Then I saw a raft. What did I see? I saw a raft. What do you mean by a raft? What do you mean by a raft? Changadam. See the picture of the raft here? Changadam. അപ്പോൾ ഞാനിവിടെ ഇങ്ങനെ കിടക്കണമെന്ന് വിചാരിച്ച് മണിക്കൂറുകളോളം കിടക്കണമെന്ന് വിചാരിച്ച് ആരെങ്കിലും സഹായത്തിനില്ലാതെ എനിക്ക് രക്ഷപ്പെടാൻ പറ്റത്തില്ലെന്ന് വിചാരിച്ചപ്പോഴാണ് ഞാനെന്ത് കണ്ടത്? ഒരു ചങ്ങാടം കണ്ടത്. So let's come to the second paragraph once again. When did I realize that I was not alone? When I heard Gabrielle asking somebody to hold there. So then after that, what did I hear? I heard so many people around me shouting at one another. They were trying to remain calm. They were trying to stay afloat. They were trying to remain on the surface of the sea, not get drowned. Then where were they? Where were they then? They were about 50 miles from Cartagena. So they were about 50 miles away from Cartagena. Again he felt reassured. What gave him such a reassurance? അവന് ഭയങ്കര reassurance തോന്നി, അവന് ആത്മവിശ്വാസം തോന്നി. He became confident. Why? Because when he came to know that so many sailors were around him and they were all in the same predicament, they were in their condition, their situation was also same. When he knew that, when he understood that his situations, their situations were also like him, and he became confident. And what happened then? He saw a raft. ഒരു ചങ്ങാടം അവന് കണ്ടു. സോ അവനിങ്ങനെ ഉറക്കത്തിൽ നിന്ന് ഒരു ആഴത്തിലുള്ള ഒരു ഉറക്കത്തിലേക്ക് നിന്ന് പെട്ടെന്ന് ഉണർന്ന പോലെയാണ് അവൻ ആ സൗണ്ട് കേട്ടപ്പോൾ തോന്നിയത്. അപ്പോൾ അവന് മനസ്സിലായി എന്ത്, അവന് ഒറ്റയ്ക്കല്ലെന്ന്. പിന്നെ എന്താ സംഭവിച്ചത്? കുറേ മീറ്റർ അകലെ അവൻ്റെ കൂട്ടാളികൾ ബഹളം വെക്കുന്നുണ്ട് പരസ്പരം, അങ്ങനെ വെള്ളത്തിന് മുകളിൽ ഇങ്ങനെ പൊന്തി നിൽക്കാൻ. പെട്ടെന്ന് അവനിങ്ങനെ ചിന്തിക്കാൻ തുടങ്ങി, ഒരു ഡയറക്ഷനിലോട്ടൊന്നും പോകാനൊക്കത്തില്ല. കാരണം എന്താണ്? 50 മൈലുകളോളം അകലെയാണ് കാട്ടുചീന. പക്ഷെ അവന് ഭയമൊന്നും തോന്നിയില്ല. പിന്നെ അവൻ ചിന്തിച്ചു, ഈ ഒരു തടിപ്പെട്ടിയിൽ ഇങ്ങനെ മണിക്കൂറുകളോളം ഇങ്ങനെ പിടിച്ചു കിടക്കണമെന്ന്, ഒരു സഹായം എത്തുന്നത് വരെ അവനിങ്ങനെ പിടിച്ചു കിടക്കണമെന്ന് അവന് തോന്നി. പിന്നെ അവന് ഭയങ്കര കോൺഫിഡൻസ് തോന്നി. കാരണം എന്താണ്? അവൻ്റെ ചുറ്റുമുള്ള സെയിലേഴ്സിന്, കപ്പലിലെ നാവികർക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും എന്താണ്? ഇതേ വിധി തന്നെയാണ്. അങ്ങനെ അവനിങ്ങനെ ചിന്തിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് ആശ്വസിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുമ്പോഴാണ് അവൻ എന്ത് കണ്ടത്? ഒരു ചങ്ങാടം. Now the third paragraph. There were 2 life rafts about 7 meters apart. They appeared unexpectedly on the crest of a wave near where my mates were calling out. It seemed odd that none of them could reach the life rafts. In an instant, one of the rafts disappeared from view. I couldn't decide. I found myself swimming toward the one I could see, which was moving farther away from me. I swam for about 3 minutes. I lost sight of the raft momentarily, but I was careful not to lose my bearing. Suddenly, a rough wave pushed the raft alongside. Alongside me, it was a huge, white and empty. I struggled to grab the rigging and jump aboard. I made it on the third try. Once on the raft, panting, whipped by the wind, immobilized and freezing, I found it hard to sit up. Then I saw 3 of my mates near the raft trying to reach it. So in the third paragraph, what does he tell us? Velasco is telling us about the appearance of 2 life rafts. അപ്പോൾ ജീവൻ രക്ഷാ ചങ്ങാടങ്ങൾ അവന് കണ്ടു 2 എണ്ണം 7 meters away, 7 meters apart. The distance between the 2 life rafts was about 7 meters. They appeared unexpectedly. He did not expect such a raft. They appeared unexpectedly on the crest of the wave, on the top of the wave, on the top surface of the wave, near where my mates were calling out. So they appeared unexpectedly on the top of the wave, and they were near the position of my mates, and they were calling out. And it seemed odd, it seemed strange that none of them could reach the life raft. Even though the life raft was near them, they couldn't reach it. And it looked strange. ശരിക്കും അത് ഒരു വിചിത്രമായിട്ട് തോന്നി. അവരുടെ അടുത്താണ് ഈ ചങ്ങാടമെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിലും അവരുടെ അടുത്തോട്ട് എത്തിച്ചേരാൻ കഴിഞ്ഞില്ല. ഈ ചങ്ങാടങ്ങൾ 2 എണ്ണവും അപ്രതീക്ഷിതമായിട്ടാണ് തിരമാലയുടെ മുകൾ പരപ്പിൽ പ്രത്യക്ഷപ്പെട്ടത്. And in an instant, one of the raft disappeared from view. So, in a moment, I saw the 2 rafts. One of them suddenly disappeared. I couldn't decide. I found myself swimming toward the one I could see, which was moving farther away from me. So, one of the rafts disappeared from my view. And what did I do? I started swimming toward the one which I saw. I started swimming toward the raft which I saw, and that raft, it was moving farther away from me. It is moving away from me. I swam for about 3 minutes. So how long did I swim? I swam for 3 minutes in order to reach the raft. One of the raft disappeared, and other one I saw, and I swam towards that, and I swam for about 3 minutes. I lost sight of the raft momentarily. For a moment, that remaining raft too disappeared. There was only one raft remaining, and it too disappeared for a moment. Even though I lost the sight of the raft, I was cautious not to lose my bearing. See? What do you mean by bearing? Sense of location. Bearing. So here, exact position. So I was cautious not to lose the exact position of the to lose my exact position. I was cautious not to lose my bearing. Suddenly, a rough wave pushed the raft alongside me, and suddenly what happened? It is I feel it like a miracle. Why? Because a raft was pushed towards me. One of the raft was pushed towards me, and it was a huge, white and empty. It was a huge raft, white and empty. I struggled to grab the rigging and jump aboard. I tried to took hold of the rigging and jump on it, climb on it. So it was a huge raft, it was a white one, it was an empty too, and I tried to take hold of the rigging and jump onto it. I failed 2 times, but on the 3rd attempt I made it. Again, look here. We saw the picture of crate, now the raft, and then rigging. പാമരം, നമ്മൾ പായ്മരം എന്ന് പറയും, പായ്മരം, rigging. So that's it. Look here, the meaning. Sorry, it is not പായ്മരം. It is the rope that controls and supports a ship's sails. ഈ പാമരത്തിലുള്ള ആ കയറുകളാണെന്ത് റിഗ്ഗിങ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. പായ്മരത്തിന് ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് വേറെയാണ്. What is it? Let us see. Mast. See, mast is the പായ്മരം. Let me see whether I can take a picture of mast. Yes, here is it. See, okay. So this is the, I should take it to the picture of mast. Here it is. How should we pronounce it? So it is mast. So again, let's go to the picture once again. Main mast, mizzen mast, foremast. So the picture of a mast, and നമ്മൾ മലയാളത്തിൽ പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ പാമരം. Now we are talking about rigging. So let's come to the point. Where is it? Okay. So I was careful not to lose my bearings. So I was careful not to get confused with my exact position in the sea. അവൻ്റെ ദിശാബോധം നഷ്ടപ്പെടരുതെന്നുള്ളത് അവന് കൃത്യമായി ശ്രദ്ധിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. Suddenly what happened? A rough wave pushed the raft towards him, and it was a huge white and empty raft, and he took hold of the rigging and jumped onto it. 2 times he tried, he failed, but he made it on the 3rd attempt. So on the 3rd try he made it. Once on the raft, panting, whipped by the wind, immobilized and freezing, I found it hard to sit up. He was so tired. He was panting. He was freezing. He was immobilized. And he was difficult even to sit up. Then, what did he see? 3 of his mates trying to reach it. 3 of the sailors were also trying to reach it. So look at the meaning again. Where is it? See? Whipped, panting, immobilized, നിശ്ചലമാകുക, he was panting, whipped by the wind. He was beaten by the wind. He was exhausted. He was very much tired. He was immobilized. He was not in a position to move. He was free. He was freeze because of the difficult weather conditions, because of the shall I say, because of the hardship that he faced here, he was very much tired. He was unable to sit up even. He was unable to sit up even. However, he got on that raft, and when he, then what did he see? 3 of his mates trying to reach it. Let's come to the paragraph once again. When did he succeed? When did he succeed in getting onto the raft? He succeeded on the 3rd attempt. And on getting onto the raft, how was he? How did he feel? He was very much tired. He was freezing. He was immobilized, and he was very unable to sit up. And on reaching the raft, what did he see? He saw 3 of his mates trying to reach it. During his attempt to get onto the raft, what was he cautious about? He was careful not to lose his bearings. അവൻ്റെ ദിശാബോധം നഷ്ടപ്പെടരുതെന്ന് അവന് കൃത്യമായ ചിന്തയുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. How many rafts did he see at first? He saw 7, and he saw 2 life rafts 7 meters apart. 7 മീറ്റർ അകലത്തിൽ 2 റാഫ്റ്റുകൾ, ചങ്ങാടങ്ങൾ കണ്ട്. And what happened to the one of the raft disappeared. ഒരു ചങ്ങാടം അങ്ങ് അപ്രത്യക്ഷമായി. How long did he swim? He swam for about 3 minutes to reach the raft. അവനൊരു 3 മിനിറ്റോളം അവന് നീന്തി എവിടെ എത്താനായി? ഈ റാഫ്റ്റിലൊന്ന് എത്തിച്ചേരാനായിട്ട്. Then Now, fourth paragraph. I recognized them immediately. Castello had a firm grip around Carabello's neck. Carabello, who had been on watch when the accident occurred, was wearing his life jacket. He yelled, "Hold on tight, Castello." They floated amid the scattered cargo about 10 meters away. So he saw three of his mates trying to reach the raft. Who were they? Castello and Carabello. The other one was Lois Renchifo. So Julia Amado, Carabello, Castello, and Renchifo. These three were the sailors trying to reach the raft. Julia Amado, Carabello, Castello, and Renchifo. Again, so who was wearing a life jacket? Carabello was wearing a life jacket. Who was holding on Carabello's neck? Castello was holding on had a firm grip around Carabello's neck. When that accident occurred, what was Carabello doing? He had been on watch. He was the watchman when this accident occurred. He was the watchman of the ship when this accident occurred, and Carabello was asking Castello to hold tight so that he won't get drowned. So both of them were floating on the surface of the sea, about 10 meters away from the raft. അപ്പോൾ ഈ ഒരു 10 മീറ്റർ അകലത്തിൽ ഈ ചരക്കുകൾക്കിടയിൽ ഇവരിങ്ങനെ ഒഴുകി നടക്കുകയാണ്. ഫ്ലോട്ടിങ് ഓൺ ദ ലൈഫ് jacket, floating using the life jacket on the surface of the sea. And what happened to Renchifo? See, what was Renchifo doing? Renchifo was trying to stay above the water with his headphones aloft in his right hand. In his right hand, he was holding his headphones. And what about his dress? He had stripped off his shirt so that he could swim better, but he had lost his life jacket. So what is the condition of Renchifo? What is the condition of Renchifo? Renchifo removed his shirt because he wanted to swim better. He felt without shirt he could swim better, and he was holding headphones in his right hand, and he lost his life jacket. That is the condition of Renchifo. He was also trying to reach the raft. അപ്പോൾ ലൂയിസ് റെൻഷിഫോയും ആ ഒരു ചങ്ങാടത്തിൽ എത്തിച്ചേരാനായിട്ട് ശ്രമിക്കുകയാണ്. അവൻ്റെ ഒരു കയ്യിൽ ഹെഡ്ഫോണുണ്ട്. അവൻ്റെ ഷർട്ടെല്ലാം ഉരിഞ്ഞു കളഞ്ഞു. കാരണം എന്താണ്? അവന് നന്നായിട്ട് നീന്താൻ പറ്റും. പക്ഷേ അവനൊരു കുഴപ്പം പറ്റി. എന്താണ്? ഹി ലോസ്റ്റ് ഹിസ് ലൈഫ് ജാക്കറ്റ്. ഈവൻ ഇഫ് I hadn't seen him, I would have recognized his sky. Fatso, paddle over there. He was asking, Fatso, paddle over there. Tadiya, കയ്യും കാലും ഇട്ട് അടിച്ച് കിടന്നു. Look at the meaning of the word paddle. See? To swim by moving your hands and feet up and down, paddle. Let us check the pronunciation once again. So it's paddle. Okay. So he was also calling out, he was also shouting, Fatso, paddle over here. ഇവിടെ ഇങ്ങനെ കൈയും കാലും ഇട്ടടിച്ച് കിടന്നു എന്ന് അവനിങ്ങനെ വിളിച്ചു പോകുന്നുണ്ട്. Velasco could not see him, but he recognized him by his sound, by his cry. Again, Velasco, what did he do? What did he do, Velasco? I quickly grabbed the oar and tried to get closer to the men. Carabello with Castello clinging to his neck near the raft. Much farther away, looking small and desolate, was the fourth of my mates, Ramon Herrera, who was waving at me while he held on to a crate. So there was another person. Who was it? Ramon Herrera. So there was another person, Ramon Herrera. What was he doing? He was waving at me. He was waving his hands at me. He caught a crate. He was holding himself against a crate, and he was waving. And what did Velasco do? He grabbed the oars. Oar എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ എന്താ? എന്തായിരുന്നു പറയുന്നത്? കപ്പലിൽ തുഴയുന്ന, ആ വള്ളത്തിലൊക്കെ തുഴയുന്ന ആ ഒരു സാധനമല്ലേ? സി ഓർ, മലയാളം എന്താ പറയുന്നത്? നയം, തുഴയെന്ന് വേണമെങ്കിൽ പറയാം. ഓക്കെ, ഓർ. Again, so Velasco, he took the oars and tried to reach closer to the men, Carabello, Castello, and Herrera. And Carabello was clinging to Carabello with Castello clinging to his neck near the raft. And Carabello and Castello, they have reached near the raft. And what happened to Herrera? He was desolate. He was helpless. He was some distance away. He was floating some distance away. He looked desolate. He looked helpless. അവനാകപ്പാടെ നിരാശ പോലെ. He was without any help. He was with nobody to help him, with no one to help him. Ramon Herrera, he waved at me. He was holding a crate. He was holding on to a crate. അപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ തുഴയെടുത്ത് അവരുടെ അടുത്തേക്ക് ചെന്നു, കാരബെല്ലോയുടെയും കാസ്റ്റലോയുടെയും അടുത്തേക്ക്. അങ്ങ് ദൂരെ ആരുമില്ലാതെ ഒറ്റപ്പെട്ടവനായിട്ട് ആര് കിടപ്പുണ്ട്? നാലാമത്തെ ആൾ, എൻ്റെ കൂട്ടാളികളിലെ നാലാമത്തെ ആൾ, റാമോൺ ഹെറേര. ആൻഡ് ഹി വേവ്ഡ് അറ്റ് മീ. അവൻ എൻ്റെ നേരെ കൈ വീശി കാണിച്ചു. ഹി വാസ് ഹോൾഡിങ് ടൈറ്റ് ഓൺ ടു എ ക്രേറ്റ്. അവനിങ്ങനെ ഒരു പെട്ടിയിൽ ഇങ്ങനെ മുറുക്കെ പിടിച്ചിങ്ങനെ കിടക്കുകയാണ്. If I had had to decide, I wouldn't have known which of my mates to go after first. But when I saw Herrera, the happy young man from Arjona, who had been with me only a few moments before, I began to paddle furiously. But the life raft was almost 2 meters long. It was very heavy in that lurching sea, and I had to row against the wind. I don't think I managed to advance more than a meter. Desperate, I looked around once more and saw Herrera had disappeared. Only Ranchifo was swimming confidently towards the raft. I was sure he would make it, I had heard him snoring below my bunk, and I was convinced that his serenity was stronger than sea. An interesting paragraph. So I was in a dilemma. I had to decide who would I rescue first? Who would I help first? I had to make a decision. എനിക്കൊരു തീരുമാനമെടുക്കണം, ആരെ ഞാൻ സഹായിക്കും. I saw Herrera. He was from Arjona. He was a young man. He had been with me a few moments before the accident occurred. അപ്പോൾ അർഹോണയിൽ നിന്നുള്ള റാമോൺ ഹെറേര, സന്തുഷ്ടനായ മനുഷ്യൻ, അയാൾ എന്നോടൊപ്പം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്ന ആ അപകടം നടക്കുന്നതിന് തൊട്ട് മുമ്പ്. സോ ഐ ഡിസൈഡഡ് ടു rescue him first, help him first. So what did I do? I paddled furiously. I tried to move the raft toward him. And what about the raft? It was a huge one. It was a heavy one. It was 2 meters long, and it was heavy one. It was a heavy one, and he had to row against the wind. He started to row against. He started rowing towards Herrera in order to help him, but it was a heavy one. He had to row against the. He had to move against the wind. However hard he tried, he could only advance 1 meter. He tried hard, but he could not advance more than a meter. So ഒത്തിരി പരിശ്രമിച്ചിട്ടും he was able to advance. He was able to move only 1 meter, and he became sad. He was desperate. He looked around him. Velasco looked around him. He saw Herrera disappear. Then he saw Ranchifo. How was he swimming? He was swimming confidently. അപ്പോൾ കഷ്ടപ്പെട്ട് തുഴഞ്ഞിട്ടും എന്താ സംഭവിച്ചത്? He could only move 1 meter. So he was in a desperate move. He wished very much to rescue Herrera, but he could not. And Herrera disappeared. Then he saw Ranchifo. He was swimming confidently. വളരെ ആത്മവിശ്വാസത്തോടുകൂടി Ranchifo സ്വിം ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. And what did he do? He was swimming towards the raft. And Ranchifo was swimming towards the raft. I was sure he would reach it. But when he came near me, I heard him snoring. He was snoring. He was not swimming. He was snoring. Below my bunk, below my raft. Here, bunk means bed. My hiding place, bunk. അപ്പോൾ എൻ്റെ ഈ ചങ്ങാടത്തിൻ്റെ അരികിൽ അവൻ വരുന്നുണ്ട്, പക്ഷേ അവൻ ഉറങ്ങുകയാണ്. He was snoring. He was sleeping peacefully, and his serenity was stronger than the sea. I was convinced. I deeply believed. I believed very much that he was sleeping in a very peaceful manner. And what about Garabello and Caslo? They were struggling. They were struggling hard. They were struggling. Garabello was struggling hard to hold Caslo tight. He did not want Caslo to lose. He did not want to lose Caslo. Garabello wished to rescue Caslo at any cost. He would not allow Caslo to go leave him. Castle was holding against, Castle was holding on his neck, and Garabella wouldn't allow Castle to lose that grip. And they were struggling hard to reach the raft. They were about 3 meters away. They were less than 3 meters away. And Velasco thought that if they got a little closer, what would Velasco do? He would hold out an oar, and Garabella or Castle, they can grab it. He was thinking like that. And what happened then? A gigantic wave lifted the raft, and from the top of the huge crest, I could see the mast of a small ship heading away from me. So Castle and Garabella, they were coming near me. They were only 3 meters away, and I was thinking that if they come a little bit closer, I can hold out an oar for them, and they can if they grab it, they will be rescued. But what happened at that moment? A huge wave lifted the raft. The raft was lifted because of a huge wave, and from the top of that wave, I saw a mast of a small ship, and that small ship was moving away from me. അപ്പോൾ എന്താ സംഭവിച്ചത്? കാരവെല്ലോയും കാസ്ലോയും ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് സ്ട്രഗിൾ ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ 3 മീറ്റർ അകലമേ ഉള്ളൂ ഈ റാഫ്റ്റിൽ നിന്ന്. ഞാനപ്പോൾ ചിന്തിച്ചെന്താണ്, കുറച്ചുകൂടി ക്ലോസർ, ഇഫ് ദേ ഗോട്ട് എ ലിറ്റിൽ ബിറ്റ് ക്ലോസർ, I could help them by holding out my oar. And at that moment, the raft was lifted by a huge wave, a gigantic wave. And when they were on the top, while on the top of that wave, he saw the mast of a small ship. And the wave settled down. What happened? Garabella had vanished with Castle. Garabella and Castle disappeared. They were drowned in the sea. Runship was still swimming calmly towards the raft. Now, about 2 meters away, I lost Garabella and Castle, and I saw Runship. He was still calmly swimming towards the raft. അപ്പോൾ 2 മീറ്റർ അകലത്തിൽ റൺഷിപ്പോ കാമായിട്ട് സ്വിം ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. പക്ഷേ എന്താ പ്രശ്നം? സ്ലീപ്പിംഗ്. ഈ മറ്റ് അപ്പോൾ what is in the 7th paragraph? The struggles, 7th paragraph tell us about the struggle of Garabella and Castle to survive. Garabella, see the friendship, the human bond, see the friendship between Garabella and Castle during the last, during a severe situation, a tiresome situation. They were trying to help each other, Garabella and Castle. Garabella won't allow Castle to leave him, and Garabella was asking Castle to hold tight onto the life jacket, and Velasco too decided to hold out his oar. അപ്പോൾ വെലാസ്കോയും ചിന്തിച്ചു, എന്താണ് ആ തുഴയൊന്ന് നീട്ടിപ്പിടിക്കാം കുറച്ചുകൂടെ അടുത്താണെങ്കിൽ. അപ്പോഴെന്താ സംഭവിച്ചത്? എ ജൈജാൻറ്റിക് വേവ് ലിഫ്റ്റഡ് ദ റാഫ്റ്റ്. ഒരു വലിയൊരു തിരമാല വന്ന ചെങ്കാടത്തെ അങ്ങ് പൊക്കി. അങ്ങനെ തിരമാലയുടെ മുകളിൽ എത്തിയപ്പോൾ എന്താ കണ്ടത്? ഒരു ചെറിയ കപ്പലിൻ്റെ പാമരം ദൂരെ കണ്ടു. Everything settled down. Everything became calm for a while. What happened then? Garabello with Castillo was not seen then. They vanished. They vanished from the scene. അവർ അപ്രത്യക്ഷമായി. And 2 meters away, who remained there? Renshifo. Again, paragraph 8. I don't know why I did this absurd thing. Knowing I could not move forward, I put the oar in the water as though trying to prevent the raft from moving, trying to anchor it in place. Renshifo, exhausted, paused a moment, then raised his arm as he had when he held his headphone aloft and shouted again, "Fatso, row over here." So Fatso was not dead. Fatso was still swimming. He was swimming in a calm manner. Don't know. He didn't know. He did not know what to do. So he did an absurd thing. What did he do? He put the oar in the water, trying to prevent the raft from moving further, trying to anchor it in place. He did an absurd thing, a foolish thing. He put the oar in the water, trying to prevent the raft from moving, or to stop the movement of the raft. He put the oar in the water. And then he saw whom? Whom did he see? Renshifo. He was very much tired. He raised his arm, and even though he raised his arm, in his arm, what was there? His headphones were there, and he shouted at Velasco, "Fatso, row over here." തടിയാ, ഇഞ്ഞു വാ, ഇവിടെ വാ എന്ന് അവൻ വിളിച്ചു പോകുന്നുണ്ട്. Aloft. See, what's the meaning of aloft? Look here. Aloft. In the air, വായുവിൽ. So he was holding up the headphones in his hand. It was in the air, and he asked Velasco to row over there, to come near him. And in the 9th paragraph, again, the wind was blowing from this direction. I yelled that I could not row against the wind, that he should make another try, but I felt he hadn't heard me. The crates of cargo had disappeared, and the life raft danced from side to side, battered by the waves. In an instant I was 5 meters away from Renshifo and had lost sight of him, but he appeared in another spot, still not panicking, ducking underwater to prevent the waves from sweeping him away. I stood up, holding out the oar and hoping Renshifo could get close enough to reach it. But then I could see he was tiring, losing heart. He called to me again, singing, "Fatso, Fatso." A touching story here. In the ninth paragraph, we can again see the dying moment of another sailor, being narrated by Velasco, the main character here. So again, what is in the ninth paragraph? Wind was blowing from his direction. So wind was blowing against him, so he cried, he shouted loudly, I could not row easily against the wind. So what should Ranchipo do? He should make another try to come near the raft. He should try to come near the raft. But Ranchipo, he didn't hear Velasco. And by the time the crates had disappeared, തടിപ്പെട്ടികളൊക്കെ അപ്രത്യക്ഷമായി, and the life raft was dancing from side to side. So everything disappeared, the crates, everything disappeared. The sailors are disappearing or vanishing one by one, and life raft, it was dancing from side to side. A disheartening situation. He yelled, he cried to Ranchipo that he could not move, he could not row against the wind. So Ranchipo should make another attempt to come near the raft. Then why did the life raft dance? Because it was pushed by the wind from one side to another. So being pushed by the wind from one side to another, it moved sidewise. And in an instant, I was 5 meters away from Ranchipo, and I lost him. I lost sight of him. A while ago, I was only 5 meters away from him. Suddenly, he vanished from my sight. He disappeared from my sight, and again I spotted Ranchipo in another spot. Velasco spotted Ranchipo. He was swimming calmly. He was not panicked. He was ducking to prevent the water from sweeping him away. See the meaning here? Panic, to feel afraid. Ducking, മുങ്ങാൻകുഴി ഇടുക, act of going below the surface of the water. So he was trying hard to survive. Ranchipo was trying hard to survive. He was not afraid. He was ducking. He was swimming through the sea. He was trying to prevent the underwater from sweeping him away. അവനിങ്ങനെ മുങ്ങാൻകുഴിയിട്ട് ഭയപ്പെടാതെ അവനിങ്ങനെ നീന്തിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. I stood up, holding out the oar, hoping Ranchipo could get close enough to reach it. So I stood up, then hold the oar towards him, hoping that Ranchipo could once again reach it. But after a while, I realized that he felt disheartened. He was losing his confidence. He was tiring. He was getting diffident, becoming. He lost his confidence, and he began to sink, shouting, "Fatso, Fatso!" calling out, "Fatso, Fatso!" അവനിപ്പം പരമാവധി റൺഷിപ്പോയെ രക്ഷപ്പെടുത്താനായിട്ട് ശ്രമിച്ചു. Velasco tried hard to save Ranchipo, but as fate could have it, he could not help. Velasco could not help Ranchifo, and he was drowned. Even at the last moment he was crying, he was shouting, "Fatso, Fatso, Tadiya, Tadiya" എന്ന് വിളിച്ചു കൂവിക്കൊണ്ട് എന്ത് ചെയ്ത് ഈ റൺഷിഫോ വെള്ളത്തിലേക്ക് മുങ്ങി താണുപോയി. Really a pathetic moment, a tragic moment, one of the tragic moments in the story. So we shall go to the 10th paragraph. In the 10th paragraph, Velasco tells us that I tried to row, but it was as hopeless as the first time. I made a last try so that Ranchifo could raise the oar, but the raised hand, which a few minutes earlier had been trying to keep the headphones from sinking, sank forever less than 2 meters from the oar. Velasco is losing his companions one by one. In the 10th paragraph, he tells us about how he lost his other friend, Ranchifo. I tried to row, but it was hopeless for the first time. It was as hopeless as the first time. In the early paragraph, he told us that he tried hard, but he could only move 1 meter because the wind was against it. Here again, he tried to reach Ranchifo, but what happened? It was useless. His attempt, all his trial was in vain. And what happened to Ranchifo? Earlier he was seen with his raised hand. He was seen there with his raised hand, and in his hand there was the headphones. Here Velasco made a last attempt to reach him with his oar, but the raised hand with his headphone was sinking, and he got drowned less than 2 meters away from the oar. The distance between the oar and Ranchifo was only 2 meters, and he was lost. Ranchifo was lost. He got drowned. So here the story writer Gabrielle Garcia Marquez, through Velasco, is telling us about the departure of Ranchifo in a heart-touching manner. In a touching manner, he displays, he picturizes the tragedy Velasco met there in the sea. Again in the 11th paragraph, അപ്പോൾ ഇവിടെ എന്താ 10th പാരഗ്രാഫിൽ എന്താ സംഭവിക്കുന്നത്? വെലാസ്കോ തുഴയാൻ ശ്രമിച്ചു, പക്ഷേ അത് പഴയതുപോലെ തന്നെ പ്രതീക്ഷയില്ലാത്തത് ആയിരുന്നു. അവസാനം ഒരു പരിശ്രമമായിട്ട് റൺഷിഫോയുടെ നേരെ ആ തുഴ നീട്ടി. പക്ഷേ പിന്നെ എന്താ കാണുന്നത്? ഉയർത്തിപ്പിടിച്ച ഹെഡ്ഫോണുമായി നീന്തിക്കൊണ്ടിരുന്ന റൺഷിഫോ മുങ്ങിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നതാണ് കാണുന്നത്. ഏകദേശം തുഴയിൽ നിന്ന് മുങ്ങുന്ന സമയത്ത് അവൻ മുങ്ങി മരിക്കാൻ തുടങ്ങുന്ന സമയത്ത് ആ തുഴയും അവനും തമ്മിലുള്ള അകലമെന്ന് പറയുന്നത് 2 മീറ്റർ ഉള്ളായിരുന്നു, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ 2 മീറ്റർ തന്നെ ഇല്ലായിരുന്നു. And in the 11th paragraph, I don't know how long I stayed like that, balancing in the life raft, holding out the oar. I kept searching the water, hoping that someone would surface soon, but sea was clear and wind, getting stronger, blew against my shirt like the howl of a dog. The cargo had disappeared. Mass, growing more distinct, proved that the small ship hadn't sunk as I had first thought. I felt calm. I thought that one of my mates had managed to reach the other lifecraft. Velasco is telling us about the helplessness, the despair condition in which he was staying there in the sea. I don't know how long I stayed like that, balancing in the life raft, holding out the oar. Velasco tells us that he stayed there for a long time, holding the oar, balancing, trying to balance himself in the raft. I kept searching in the water to see whether any of the drowned companion might surface soon again, might come up again. He was hopeful that any one of his companion will again come to the surface of the water, but that hope too vanished. Why? Sea became clear, wind getting stronger. It howled like a dog against his chest. When the wind blew against him, he could hear the howling sound, and the howling sound of the wind appeared to him like the howl of a dog. And again, the cargo disappeared, and the mast, growing more distinct, more clear, proved that the small ship hadn't sunk as I had first thought. So he could see the mast of the small ship. It became more clear, and he felt that that small ship hadn't sunk. പാമരം, കൊച്ചു കപ്പലിൻ്റെ പാമരം കാണാനൊക്കെ ആ പാമരം കൂടുതൽ വ്യക്തമാവുകയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അവന് തോന്നി ആ കപ്പൽ പൂർണ്ണമായിട്ടും മുങ്ങിയിട്ടില്ലെന്ന്. Earlier he thought that the ship had sunk. Again he became calm. I thought that any of my mates had managed to reach the other lifecraft. There was 2 lifecraft. In the earlier paragraph we came across 2 lifecraft, and the distance between those 2 lifecraft was only 7 meters, and he was hopeful. In the 11th paragraph he was hopeful that one of his mates might reach the other lifecraft. One of his mates could have saved his life by getting on the other lifecraft. He was hopeful, so he felt calm. അപ്പോൾ 11th പാരഗ്രാഫിൽ എന്താ പറയുന്നത്? അവൻ എത്ര നേരം ഇരുന്നെന്നൊന്നും അവന് അറിയത്തില്ല. He kept searching the water, hoping that some of his companions would surface soon. അവനിങ്ങനെ വെള്ളത്തിലിങ്ങനെ പരതുകയാണ്. ആരെങ്കിലും അവൻ്റെ കൂട്ടുകാർ വെള്ളത്തിന് മുകളിലെത്തും, മുങ്ങിപ്പോയ ആരെങ്കിലും വീണ്ടും മുകളിലേക്ക് എത്തുമെന്ന് വിചാരിച്ചിങ്ങനെ അവനിങ്ങനെ നോക്കുകയാണ്. അപ്പം ആകാശം നല്ല തെളിഞ്ഞിരിക്കുന്നു, പക്ഷെ കാറ്റ് മാത്രം ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് വീശുന്നുണ്ട്. കാറ്റ് അവൻ്റെ ആ ഒരു വീശലിൻ്റെ ശബ്ദം അവന് എന്തായിട്ട് തോന്നി? പട്ടിയുടെ മോങ്ങലായിട്ട് തോന്നി, നായുടെ മോങ്ങലായിട്ട് തോന്നി. അപ്പോൾ അവൻ്റെ ചുറ്റുമുള്ള ആ ചരക്കുകളെല്ലാം ഇപ്പം അപ്രത്യക്ഷമായി. പാമരം ഇപ്പോൾ കൂടുതൽ വ്യക്തമായിട്ട് കാണാം. നേരത്തെ അവൻ ചിന്തിച്ചത് ആ കൊച്ചു കപ്പൽ മുങ്ങിപ്പോയെന്നാണ്. ഇപ്പോൾ അവൻ മനസ്സിലായി കപ്പൽ മുങ്ങിയിട്ടൊന്നുമില്ല. ശാന്തമായി, അവൻ മനസ്സ് ശാന്തമാക്കി. അപ്പോൾ അവൻ ചിന്തിക്കുകയാണെന്ത്, അവൻ്റെ ഏതെങ്കിലും കൂട്ടാളികൾ മറ്റേ ചങ്ങാടത്തിൽ എങ്ങനെയെങ്കിലും എത്തപ്പെട്ടിട്ടുണ്ടാകുമെന്ന് അവനിങ്ങനെ ചിന്തിച്ച് ആശ്വസിക്കുകയാണ്. There was no reason they shouldn't have reached it. Why did he think that? Why did he try to feel reassured? Because there was no reason that they shouldn't have reached that life raft. The raft weren't provisioned. In fact, none of the life raft of the small ship was outfitted. There were 6 of them apart from the rowboats and whalers. It was reasonable to believe that some of my mates had reached the other life rafts, as I had reached mine. Perhaps the destroyer was searching for us. Let's look at the difficult words here. Provisioned, again outfitted, whaler, anyone else? Any other word is there? No. Okay. So these are the words: provisioned, outfitted, and whaler. I have prepared the meaning earlier. I had shown you the meaning of those difficult words. Provision, ക്രമീകരിക്കപ്പെടുക. അഗെയിൻ വെയിലർ, തിമിംഗല വേട്ടയ്ക്കുള്ള ബോട്ട്. ഔട്ട്ഫിറ്റ്, ക്രമീകരിക്കുക. റോബോട്ട്, സ്മോൾ ബോട്ട്. So these are the meaning of those hard words there. So Velasco felt that some of his companions might have reached the other rafts. How many rafts were there? There were how many rafts were there? 6 of them. There were 6 rafts, and apart from that there were rowboats and whalers. അപ്പോൾ ചെറു വള്ളങ്ങളുണ്ട്, പിന്നെ എന്താണ്, തിമിംഗല വേട്ടയ്ക്കുള്ള ബോട്ടുകളുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ ആൻഡ് 6 more raft were there. 6 ചങ്ങാടങ്ങളും ഉണ്ട്. So his companions might have reached any of them, might have saved their life by getting on any of them. And it was reasonable to believe that some of my mates had reached the other life raft, as I had reached mine. Even though we have managed to get on the life rafts, the destroyer, he is thinking, he was afraid, Velasco was afraid that destroyer was searching for us. For the time being, we have managed to reach the life craft, but the destroyer is searching for us to put us again into the sea. വീണ്ടും ഞങ്ങളെ കടലിലേക്കാക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി ആ ഡിസ്ട്രോയർ, the wind is searching for us. ഞങ്ങളെ എന്ത് ചെയ്യാണ്, അന്വേഷിക്കുകയാണ്. So the rafts were in provision. Again, റാഫ്റ്റ് ഇന്ന ആവശ്യത്തിനെന്നൊന്നും പറഞ്ഞ് ഇപ്പോൾ ക്രമീകരിക്കപ്പെട്ടിട്ടൊന്നുമില്ല. അതേപോലെ തന്നെ ലൈഫ് റാഫ്റ്റിൽ ഇന്ന വള്ളങ്ങൾ ഇന്ന ആവശ്യത്തിന് വേണ്ടി ഒന്നും ഇല്ല. all the life raft were scattered in the sea. Anybody can get them. Again, apart from the life raft, how many rowboats there were as many rowboats there. Again, there were whalers there. അപ്പം വഞ്ചികളുണ്ട്, തിമിക്കല വേട്ടയ്ക്കുള്ള വള്ളങ്ങളുണ്ട്, അങ്ങനെ എല്ലാം ഉണ്ട്. അപ്പം most of his companions could have saved their life. He was hopeful like that. He was thinking like that. Velasco was thinking like that. അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെയാണ് വെലാസ്കോ ചിന്തിച്ചത്. എങ്ങനെയെങ്കിലും അവരൊക്കെ രക്ഷപ്പെടും. ബട്ട് വെരി സൂൺ I was aware of the sun. Very soon I was aware of the sun. A midday sun, hot and metallic, stupefied, not fully recovered. I looked at my watch. It was noon on the dot. So it was noon time. And sun was up in the sky. How does the sun look like? Hot, metallic, stupefied, not fully recovered. See? How was the sun? Hot, metallic, stupefied. So let's come to a meaning there. Stupefied. Buddhi, mandikiya. Again, metallic. Something. The color of the sky, color of the sun was seems to be like that of a metal. It was shining, and again it was very hot. The sun seems to be stupefied by the mischief of the wind. അപ്പോൾ ഈ ഒരു ആ കാറ്റിൻ്റെ ആ ഒരു കുസൃതി കണ്ട് സൂര്യൻ വരെ എന്ത് പോയി, അങ്ങ് മന്ദീഭവിച്ചു പോയി, അങ്ങ് അന്താളിച്ചു പോയി. ആകെപ്പാടെ നല്ല ചൂടുള്ള ഒരു മെറ്റൽ പോലെ, ലോഹം പോലെ ഇരിക്കുകയാണ് സൂര്യൻ. ആൻഡ് വാട്ട് വാസ് ടൈം? ഇറ്റ് വാസ് noon. It was the sun was midday sun. It was noon. അപ്പോൾ സൂര്യൻ മധ്യ ഉച്ചസൂര്യനാണ്, അതേപോലെ noon time ആണ്. ഓക്കെ, let's come to the next paragraph. The last time Ranchifo had asked me the time on the small boat, it was 11:30. I had checked the time again and the disaster had not yet occurred. When I looked at my watch on the life raft, it was exactly noon. It had taken only 10 minutes for everything to happen for me. To reach the life raft, try to rescue my shipmates, stand motionless in the raft, reaching the empty sea, listening to the sharp howl of the wind. I thought it would take them at least 2 or 3 hours to rescue me. So he is recollecting the earlier moments in the ship. Ranchifo, while in the ship, Ranchifo asked me about time. And what was time then? It is 11:30. And while swimming in the sea, he looked at the watch again. And what did he think then? When I looked at the watch on the life raft, it was exactly noon. See, earlier it was 11:30, and while they were in the ship, it was 11:30. Now it is noon. Exactly noon. It was 12 o'clock, and he tells us that it had taken only 10 minutes for everything to happen. The disaster happened just 10 minutes ago. The disaster, the shipwreck, happened only 10 minutes ago. To reach the life raft, try to rescue my shipmates, stand motionless in the raft, searching the empty sea, listening to the sharp howl of the wind. So all these things happen after that? What are these things? To reach the life raft, try to rescue my shipmates, stand motionless in the raft, searching the empty sea, listening to the sharp howl of the wind. So all these things happened only 10 minutes ago. 10 minutes ago they were in the small ship, and everything happened suddenly. They were thrown out into the sea, and he was seen trying to reach the life raft. Velasco was seen trying to rescue his friends. Velasco was seen standing motionless in the raft. Velasco was seen again. He was seen searching the empty sea. He was seen listening to the sharp howl of the wind. അപ്പോൾ ഇതെല്ലാം 10 മിനിറ്റ് കൊണ്ടാണ് സംഭവിച്ചത്. 10 മിനിറ്റ് മുമ്പ് അവൻ കപ്പലിലായിരുന്നു. ഇപ്പം അതാ വെള്ളത്തിൽ കിടക്കുന്ന, ലൈഫ് റാഫ്റ്റിൽ കിടക്കുന്ന, അവനിങ്ങനെ കൂട്ടുകാരെ അന്വേഷിക്കുന്നു, മറ്റുള്ളവരെ രക്ഷിക്കാനായിട്ട് ശ്രമിക്കുന്നു, കാറ്റിൻ്റെ ശബ്ദമൊക്കെ ശ്രദ്ധിക്കുന്നു. And he thought it would take them at least 2 or 3 hours to rescue me. So he thought he would get help from others after 2 or 3 hours only. അപ്പോൾ അവൻ ചിന്തിക്കുന്നത് എന്താണ്? മറ്റുള്ളവർ അവനെ ഒന്ന് സഹായിക്കാൻ പറയണമെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ it would take another 3 hours, 2 or 3 hours, 2 മണിക്കൂറെങ്കിലും ഇനിയും എടുക്കും ആരെങ്കിലും എന്നെ ഒന്ന് സഹായിക്കാൻ വരാൻ. Now paragraph 14. 2 or 3 hours, he calculated. It seemed an extraordinary long time to be alone at sea, but I tried to resign myself to it. I had no food or water. By 3 in the afternoon, I would surely have a searing thirst. The sun burned my head and my skin, which was dry and hardened by salt. Since I had lost my cap, I splashed water on my head, and I just sat on the side of the raft waiting to be rescued. So he thought himself it would take at least 3 hours to get rescued. He would be rescued by rescuers only after 3 hours, and it was mid-noon then. After 3 hours, I would be a lot tired. There wouldn't be any food. There wouldn't be any water. And the sun burned his head and his skin. See, it was noon. He was in the sea. The heat of the sun was burning his head and his skin, and again he was tortured by the salt water. His skin became dry and hard. He lost his cap. So what did he do? He scattered water on his head to make it cool. He then sat on the side of the raft waiting to be rescued. See, remember a picture of a person alone in the raft in the mid-sea. Imagine a picture of a person sitting on a raft alone in the mid-sea. ആ ഒരു കടലിൻ്റെ മധ്യത്തിൽ ഒറ്റയ്ക്കൊരു ചങ്ങാടത്തിൽ ഒരു മനുഷ്യൻ ഇങ്ങനെ കാത്തിരിക്കുന്നതിനെ കുറിച്ചൊന്ന് നമ്മളൊന്ന് സങ്കല്പിച്ച് നോക്കിയേ. അപ്പോൾ see, searing, again splash, rescue. These are the words here. Splash, to scatter some water, ചിതറിയൊഴിക്കുക. Again searing, extreme, വല്ലാത്ത. Rescue, to help one survive from a disaster. Rescue, the meaning is there in the rescue, to help someone out from a dangerous situation. അപകടത്തിൽ നിന്ന് രക്ഷപ്പെടുത്തുക. Yes. So he calculated 2 or 3 hours. It was a long period of time to be alone in the sea. So he tried to resign myself to it. So he tried to confine. He thought about the situation more deeply, more thoroughly. അപ്പോൾ അവൻ കൂടുതൽ അതിനെക്കുറിച്ച് ചിന്തിച്ചു. 3 മണിക്കൂർ എന്നൊക്കെ പറയുമ്പോൾ എനിക്കിനി ആഹാരമില്ല, വെള്ളമില്ല, പിന്നെ എന്താണ്, നല്ല ദാഹമായിരിക്കും. ഐ ഷുവർലി ഹാവ് എ സീറിങ് തേഴ്സ്റ്റ്, വല്ലാത്ത ദാഹമായിരിക്കും. ആൻഡ് ദ സൺ ബേൺഡ് ഹിസ് ഹെഡ്. ഹി ഹാഡ് ടു ഫേസ് ദ atmosphere. The atmosphere was also against him. The climate was against him. Again, this wind was against him. And in water, it was salt water, it was sea water. And the sea water would make his skin dry, it would make his skin hard. So in order to keep himself cool, he tried to scatter some water on his head. അപ്പോൾ അവന് തലയൊക്കെ ഒന്ന് തണുപ്പിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി അവനിങ്ങനെ തലയിൽ വെള്ളമൊക്കെ ഇങ്ങനെ ചെതറിച്ച് ഒഴിക്കാൻ നോക്കി. എന്നിട്ട് അവൻ ചിന്തിച്ച് 3 മണിക്കൂർ സമയം എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ എന്താണ്, വെള്ളമില്ല, ആഹാരമില്ല. അപ്പോൾ 3 മണിക്കൂറൊക്കെ ആകുമ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് അവന് ഭയങ്കരമായ ദാഹം. സ്കിന്നൊക്കെ എങ്ങനെയാണ്, ഈ ഉപ്പുവെള്ളം ഇങ്ങനെ പറ്റി അങ്ങ് ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് ഹാർഡാവുന്നു. അതേപോലെ അങ്ങ് ഒരുമാതിരി വറ്റി വരേണ്ട മാതിരി നമുക്ക് ഇമാജിൻ ചെയ്യാവുന്നേ ഉള്ളൂ. അപ്പോൾ ഈ കുറേ കഴിയുമ്പോൾ എന്തായിരിക്കും, ദേഹത്തൊക്കെ ഉപ്പിൻ്റെ അംശം മുകളിൽ തരിയായിട്ട് ഇരിക്കുന്ന അവസ്ഥ. That's all. Okay. Again, the next passage, what is there? It was only then that I felt the pain in my right knee. The thick blue drill fabric of my trouser leg was wet. So I had a hard time rolling it up. But when I did, I was startled. I saw a deep, half-moon shaped wound on the lower part of my knee. I didn't know if I had cashed it on the side of the ship. If it had happened when I hit the water, for I didn't notice it until I was seated in the life raft. Though the wound burned a little, it had stopped bleeding and was completely dry because of the salt water, I imagine. Suddenly I felt a pain in my right knee. The thick blue drill fabric of my trouser leg was wet, so I had a hard time rolling it up. When I did, I was startled. I saw a deep, half-moon shaped wound on the lower part of my knee. So what happened here? Suddenly I felt a pain in my right knee. I pulled up the blue drill fabric. It was wet, so it was difficult for me to pull up that fabric of my trouser leg. So when I pulled it up, I was startled. I was surprised. Why? Because I saw a wound. What kind of a wound was it? What kind of a wound was it? It was a deep, half-moon shaped wound. It was a deep and moon shaped wound like the shape of a half moon. അപ്പോൾ ഏകദേശം പകുതി അർദ്ധചന്ദ്ര ആകൃതിയിലുള്ള, അർദ്ധവൃത്താകൃതിയിലുള്ള ഒരു മുറിവ് on the lower part of my knee. I didn't know if I had cast it on the side of the I don't know if I had gashed it on the side of the ship or if it happened when I hit the water. So Velasco didn't know how it happened. He was doubtful about how it occurred, how he was bruised. So he noted it only when he was sitting there in the life raft, and the wound had a burning sense. It had a burning sensation. It was burning a little, but it was not bleeding. Why? Because of the salt water. The wound was completely dry. അപ്പം എന്താ പറയുന്നത് നോക്കിയേ, അവന് പെട്ടെന്ന് അവൻ്റെ മുട്ടിന് താഴെ ഒരു വേദന തോന്നി. ആ വലത്തെ മുട്ടിലൊരു വേദന തോന്നി. നോക്കിയപ്പോൾ അവൻ്റെ ആ നീല ട്രൗസറിൻ്റെ കാലെന്ന് ട്രൗസറൊന്ന് പൊക്കി നോക്കി. അപ്പോൾ എന്താണ് കണ്ടത്? ഭയങ്കര പ്രയാസമായിരുന്നു ട്രൗസർ ഉയർത്താൻ, കാരണം ഇറ്റ് വാസ് വെറ്റ്. ഇറ്റ് വാസ് കംപ്ലീറ്റ്ലി വെറ്റ്. നോക്കിയപ്പോഴെന്താണ്, ഏകദേശം ചന്ദ്രൻ്റെ ആകൃതിയിലുള്ള ഒരു ആഴത്തിലുള്ള ഒരു മുറിവ് ഓൺ ദ ലോ പാർട്ട് ഓഫ് മൈ നീ. അപ്പോൾ അവൻ്റെ മുട്ടിന് താഴെ ഒരു അർദ്ധചന്ദ്രൻ്റെ ആകൃതിയിലുള്ള ഒരു മുറിവ്. I don't know if I had gashed it on the side of the ship or it occurred when I was thrown into when I hit the sea. കടലിൽ വന്ന് ഇടിച്ചപ്പോഴാണോ മുറിഞ്ഞതെന്നൊന്നും എനിക്ക് അറിയത്തില്ല. Look here, gashed. What's the meaning gash? ആഴത്തിലുള്ള മുറിവ്. It is a word. So I don't know if I had gashed it on the side of the ship. So he got that wound. He was wounded when he hit the side of the ship, or if it happened when he hit the water. എന്തായാലും അത് അവന് എങ്ങനെ സംഭവിച്ചാണെന്ന് അറിയത്തില്ല. കപ്പലിൻ്റെ സൈഡിൽ ചെന്ന് ഇടിച്ചപ്പോൾ പറ്റിയതാണോ അതോ ഇനിയും വെള്ളത്തിലിടിച്ചപ്പോൾ പറ്റിയാണോ അതൊന്നും അവന് അറിയത്തില്ല. He noticed it only when he was sitting there on the life raft, and it had a burning sensation and it stopped bleeding. അതിൽ മുറിവിൽ നിന്ന് ബ്ലഡൊന്നും വരുന്നില്ല, രക്തമൊന്നും വരുന്നില്ല. അതങ്ങ് ഉണങ്ങിയിരിക്കുന്നു. കാരണം എന്താണ്? ആ ഒരു ഉപ്പ് വെള്ളം കാരണം. So that was the air in that is the gist of the 14th paragraph. Now the 15th paragraph, the last paragraph. Uncertain as to what to do, I decided to make an inventory of my belongings. I wanted to figure out what I could count on in my solitude at sea. First of all, I could rely on my watch, which kept perfect time and which I couldn't stop glancing at every 2 or 3 minutes. In addition, I had my gold ring, which I had bought in Cartagena the year before, and a chain with a medal of the Virgin of Cayman on it, also purchased in Cartagena from another sailor for 35 pesos. In my pocket I had nothing but the keys to my locker on the small ship and the 3 business cards I had been given at a store in the Mobile one day in January when I had gone out shopping. Since I had nothing to do, I read the cards over and over to distract myself until I was rescued. So he was alone sitting in the raft. He was trying to figure out what was left with him. What are the things that was left with him? A gold ring. Again, a chain with a medal of Virgin of Cayman. Keys to his locker. In the pocket I had the key to his locker. In the pocket, the keys to his locker. Again, 3 business cards. Watch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things are there in the pocket, including the 3 business cards. There were 5 things. What are they? Watch. Again, the gold ring. The third one, the chain with a medal of Virgin of Cayman. And in his pocket, what were the keys to his locker room and the 3 business cards. So these are the things he had with him. He made a list of his belongings. He decided to make an inventory of his belongings. Let me see whether there is the meaning of that word inventory, or else I shall go to the dictionary. Look at the meaning of the word inventory. A detailed list of all things in a place. അപ്പം ഞാനൊരു കണക്കെടുപ്പ് നടത്തി. So I don't know what to do. I was sitting alone. I had to wait for at least 3 hours. So I created a list of my belongings in my mind. I wanted to see what are the things that is with me while alone in the sea. So what are they? As I told you, as we noted earlier, there was my watch, again a gold ring, again a chain with a medal of Virgin of Cayman. In the pocket, what was there? In the pocket, a key to my locker, 3 business cards. So these were the 5 things that were with him. So first of all, I could rely on my watch. The most important thing that I could depend now is the watch. I couldn't stop. I couldn't help watching, looking at my watch every 2 or 3 minutes. In between every 2 or 3 minutes, I would look at my watch. Again, there was the gold ring. And from where was it bought? It was bought from Cartagena. And when was it bought? A year ago. അപ്പോൾ 1 വർഷം മുമ്പ് ഞാൻ കാർട്ടജനയിൽ നിന്ന് വാങ്ങിച്ച ആ ഒരു സ്വർണ്ണ മോതിരം. Again, what else was there with me? A chain with a medal of the Virgin of Cayman. Virgin of Cayman. See, a Virgin of Cayman is a Virgin of Cayman is the patron saint of the mariners, patron saint of sea, according to Spanish people. So Virgin of Cayman. So there was the chain with the medal of Virgin of Cayman, and he purchased it from Cartagena from another sailor. And what is the cost? What is the price of that chain? It is 30 peso. 30 peso is again a coin, peso. See, it is there. A standard unit of money. It's a unit of money used in Argentina, Mexico, and some other countries. Peso. So he purchased that chain for 30 peso, and then in his pocket he had the keys to his locker room in the small ship. So keys of the locker where his things are kept, where his dress material, whatever utilities he had with him were kept in his locker room. Whatever belongings he had with him were kept. So he had that key of the locker room. Then he had 3 business cards which he got from a mobile store on a day in January. So he purchased something from a mobile showroom, shop, and he got 3 business cards. So these were the things that he had with him. So he was alone in the sea. He had nothing to do. In order to pass time, what did he do? He read the card again and again, over and over, again and again, to divert his attention, to keep him motivated, to keep him engaged. അപ്പോൾ അവൻ ആ ഒരു കാർഡ് പിന്നെയും വായിച്ചു. ഒന്നും ചെയ്യാനില്ല, എന്തെങ്കിലുമൊക്കെ ചെയ്യണമെന്നുള്ളതുകൊണ്ട്, എൻഗേജ് ആയിട്ടിരിക്കണം എന്നുള്ളതുകൊണ്ട് he read the card ever and ever, again and again, until he was rescued. So somebody rescue him. അവനെ ആരെങ്കിലും രക്ഷപ്പെടുത്തുന്നത് വരെ അവൻ എന്ത് ചെയ്ത് ഈ ഒരു ഇത് വായിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരുന്നു. ആൻഡ് ദാറ്റ്സ് ദ സ്റ്റോറി. Again I shall tell you, explain the paragraph. എന്ത് ചെയ്യണമെന്നറിയാതെ അവൻ്റെ കയ്യിലിരിക്കുന്ന സാധനങ്ങളുടെ ഒരു കണക്കെടുപ്പ് നടത്തി. ഈ ഏകാന്തതയിൽ, സോളിറ്റ്യൂഡിൽ അവനിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ എന്തൊക്കെ കാര്യങ്ങൾ അവൻ്റെ കയ്യിലുണ്ടെന്നുള്ളതെന്ന് അറിയണം. അവനാകെപ്പാടെ ആശ്രയിക്കാവുന്നത്, ഡിപ്പെൻഡ് ചെയ്യാവുന്ന സാധനം എന്താണ്? വാച്ചാണ്. Why could he depend on that watch? Because it kept perfect time. The time was right. Again, because he felt confident about that watch, he every 3 minutes he would look at that watch. In every 3 minutes he would look at that watch, and he had a gold ring, and that ring was bought from Cartagena. And again, what did he have? A chain with a medal of the Virgin of Camel. അപ്പോൾ അവൻ്റെ കയ്യിൽ ഒരു സ്വർണ്ണ മോതിരമുണ്ട്. കാർട്ടജീനയിൽ നിന്ന് 1 വർഷം മുമ്പ് വാങ്ങിയതാണ്. പിന്നെ അവൻ്റെ കയ്യിൽ എന്താ ഉള്ളത്? ഒരു വെർജിൻ ഓഫ് കാമനിൽ നിന്നുള്ള കാമൻ്റെ ഒരു മെഡൽ ഉള്ള ഒരു ചെയിന്. പിന്നെ അവൻ്റെ കയ്യിലുള്ളത് എന്താണ്? ഈ ചെയിൻ എത്ര രൂപയാണ്? മറ്റൊരു നാവികൻ്റെ കയ്യിൽ നിന്ന് വാങ്ങിച്ചാണ് 30 പെസോ വാങ്ങിക്കുക. അവൻ്റെ പോക്കറ്റിൽ ലോക്കർ റൂമിൻ്റെ താക്കോലുകളുണ്ട്. പിന്നെ 3 കാർഡുകളുണ്ട്. ഈ 3 കാർഡുകൾ, ബിസിനസ് കാർഡുകൾ എവിടെ നിന്ന് കിട്ടിയാണ്? ഒരു മൊബൈൽ ഷോറൂമിൽ നിന്ന് കിട്ടിയതാണ്. അപ്പോൾ വേറൊന്നും ചെയ്യാനില്ലാത്തത് കാരണം ഈ കാർഡ് പിന്നെയും വായിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് ഇരുന്നു. എന്തിനാണ്? അവൻ്റെ മനസ്സൊന്ന് ശ്രദ്ധ തിരിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി, ടു റിമെയിൻ റിയഷ്വേർഡ്, അവൻ്റെ മനസ്സൊന്ന് ആശ്വാസം കണ്ടെത്താൻ വേണ്ടി, ഡിസ്ട്രാക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടി, ഡൈവേർട്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടി. അണ്ടിൽ ഹി വാസ് റെസ്ക്യൂഡ്. അവനെ ആരെങ്കിലും രക്ഷപ്പെടുത്തുന്നത് വരെ. ഡിസ്ട്രാക്ട്, ഡൈവേർട്സ് വൺസ് അറ്റൻഷൻ, ശ്രദ്ധ മാറ്റുക. So that's all about the story. Again, let me take you to a video before we end this lesson. Let me end the session with this video. The video gives you a gist of the story, A Shipwrecked Sailor.
This story, A Shipwrecked Sailor, by Gabrielle Garcia Marquez. Velasco, the protagonist of the story, and his four friends, Julio Amador Carabello, Luis Ranchifo, Castillo, Ramon Herrera, were sailing through the Caribbean Sea. When Velasco gained his conscience, he was in the middle of the ocean. There was no sign of the ship anywhere. He thought he was utterly alone, but a couple of minutes later, he began to hear shouts nearby. Julio Amador Carabello, the tall, well-built officer who was yelling at someone. Velasco felt relieved because he realized that at least he was not alone in the dangerous sea. He was holding onto a crate. Suddenly, he spotted two life rafts at the crest of a dancing wave. After what seemed to be a struggle for some time, he caught hold of the raft, and in the meantime, one of the rafts disappeared. It was by then he saw three of his mates trying to reach the raft. It was Castillo and Carabello. The former was clinging onto the neck of Carabello. On the other side, it was Ranchifo, who was holding his headphones aloft, a confident young man. A few yards away was Ramon Herrera, the happy young man from Arizona. Vasco was confused as to whom to save first. He saw himself paddling furiously towards Herrera, but couldn't save him because of a heavy wind. Herrera was not seen any longer. Carabello and Caslo were just 3 meters away and were struggling to reach the raft, but a gigantic wave lifted the raft and tossed it. When he came down, he couldn't see the two. The only one who was swimming confidently was Ranchifo, but the weather was tough and he couldn't paddle a little. Ranchifo, after swimming for a long time, showed signs of exhaustion. He signaled Velasco to come near to him. The wind was blowing heavily and his reply didn't reach the fatigued man. In this struggle to stay alive, Ranchifo didn't give up. He ducked underwater to prevent the waves from sweeping him away. There was a moment when Ranchifo was too near to touch the oar, but unfortunately, Ranchifo gave up. Velasco saw his hands sinking down forever in the water. A desperate Velasco remained in the water searching for more of people, but none came up. It was getting hot out there in the middle of the sea. The sun was metallic hot. Velasco figured out that the shipwreck claimed the lives just in 10 minutes. He calculated that the rescue team could take at least 3 or 4 hours to reach him. Sitting on the life raft, waiting for the rescue team was something beyond words. He, without food and water and some bruises tried to resign to his fate. Alone in the middle of the sea, he was completely uncertain as to what to do. Fighting solitude was a daring act. Velasco started counting his belongings. It was to distract himself from the stray thoughts that haunted him. Thank you.
Thank you all. Go through the video, go through the meaning. Again, if you have any doubt regarding the lesson, please ask me. And after a week or so, I will be giving you a test paper based on this video, so you should be very much prepared for it. Thank you once again.